There, there are two ways to look at the job description of a parent. Two things that we're trying to do as our children enter this world, into our family, and please God, one day as they leave to become their independent selves, to create their own lives, their own home. Two job descriptions. And it's really important to get clear not only what they are, but how they sometimes work in tension with each other, and how they change as the child grows and develops. And the two job descriptions that any parent has who wants to see their children flourish is this. Number one, we parents are here to protect our children from the world. We're here to protect our children from the world. But number two, we're also to prepare our children for the world. Because this world is beautiful, but it's also broken. Sin has broken it. And actually life, as you read Genesis 3 and 4 and the rest of the Bible, life can be hard, and life will throw things at our children, both when they're young and when they're adults. And so the job description of any parent that wants to see their child flourish is these two things. Protect them from some of the hurt and the attacks from the world, but also prepare them for the world, prepare them how to handle the challenges that they are going to face. And what's important is that the tension between those develops as the child gets older. So when the first 9 months of the child's life in the womb is almost entirely about protecting the child from the world. It needs the wing of the mother hen. It needs that protection as it gets a chance to grow. And in those early years, what's to the forefront, what is dominant, is protection. Now, there's a sense in which that will never stop. No matter what age our children are, we'll always have a sense where we want to protect them from the big bad world. But what has to go in tandem with that is a preparingness, a preparing them for the world, giving them the skills, building the character that they need, so that once they leave our home and they set up shop for themselves, that's not the day when we then ask, okay, what do you need to work out in order to have a go at this thing called life? Actually, from the earliest of ages, what we want to do is we want to be preparing them for the day that they leave, so that when they leave, they are independent. They have compassion woven into their DNA. They have a wisdom that knows how to make choices, and tough choices. They have a faith and a love for God that is their own. They are robust and tough, and yet gentle to cope with the things that life and relationships will throw at them. They need those skills developed and prepared long before they ever leave, so that when they do leave, they're fit to take on life with the skills that we've given them. And so these two things, protecting them from the world and preparing them for the world, is essential. But it's not like, you try and work this out, and once you've got it figured, that's it sussed, because our children grow and change. And one of the things that we need to keep changing as parents is that balance, that tension of how much am I protecting them from the world, how much am I trying to push them out of their comfort zones in order to prepare them for the world. And actually sometimes this is where we can trip up, where we can get it wrong, where we try to do one of these without the other. If all we want to do is protect our children from the world, if our biggest priority is to keep our children free from any type of discomfort, any type of disappointment, one of the dangers is that we end up spoiling them. If we are constantly pushing away any discomfort, any challenge to them, any disappointment, if we're creating this bubble where they are entirely protected, the problem comes, well, when they leave us, they don't know how to operate in the world. They can end up having a sense of entitlement. They can lack skills and development. They can lack discipline and self-control. There can be a lack of independence, and they're not robust and they're not tough enough to take on life, because what we've done is we've kept all the difficulties away from them in order to protect them from the world. But what we've forgotten to do is to prepare them for the world, and we can end up spoiling them. But there's an equal danger the other side, where instead of being like a clucking hen that protects them from every discomfort, we can be more like a drill sergeant, a military you will do, and we simply have these high expectations that you should be tough, except we don't actually teach the children how to be tough. We're high on expectation, but we're low on nurture and training and equipping, and actually that can have all sorts of effects on the child. The child can be insecure because they didn't have that protection in those early years. They can be emotionally stunted because they were never taught to engage with the feelings and the emotions that God has given them. They can suppress their feelings and have an inability to articulate and relate to people. They can be hard and callous. And actually there can be a deep insecurity and anxiety flowing there beneath the surface. And those are the two extremes. Those are the two dangers of, if all I'm concerned with is protecting my child from the world, they can end up spoiled. If all I'm concerned with is saying you should be tough and you need to be ready for a big bad world and act like the drill sergeant, actually on the surface they may end up looking tough. But beneath the surface, they have never learned the skills to actually engage with people, to relate to people, to understand the feelings that God has given them. And so as parents, we want to hold these two things together. We want to protect our kids from the world, but we also want to prepare our kids for the world. And one of the challenges is, it's not just about getting this right once and it's sorted. As our children grow, we will have to tailor what it looks like to hold this balance together. Yeah, I want to protect them. Yeah, I want to prepare them. But what does that look like when they're 6 months old? What does that look like when they're 6 years old? What does that look like when they're 16 years old? What does that look like when they're 36 years old? I always want to protect them. I always want to prepare them. And one of the challenges in parenting is understanding, what do those two things look like?